guys, and welcome to another Simply Dark episode. Before I begin, I would just like to apologize for not uploading a video last week. I am so sorry for that, but I did have a dental procedure done and my gums were all swollen and stuff like that, and I was in pain and I couldn't actually talk. So obviously that wasn't the best time to film, but we are back, and in today's episode we are going to be talking about real life zombification. Yes, you heard me right. Somewhere in the world right now, real life zombies are being created. And I know this sounds crazy when I say real life, but it is true, and I will explain everything about that, even the scientific explanation and everything throughout this video. So if you guys are interested, just keep on watching. So our topic today takes place in a country called Haiti, located in the island of Hispaniola, east of Cuba in the Caribbean Sea. In Haiti, between 80 to 90% of the people believe and practice the Voodoo religion. And it is said that the Bokor, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I don't know how to say it, but it's the Bokor, it's basically a Voodoo witch, and basically what they say that might happen is that this voodoo witch might secretly sprinkle this magic powder on you, and this will basically cause you to fall ill and die. At least that's what it seems like. As the doctors examine the body, they will find no pulse and no respiration. So obviously after minutes of this, they will pronounce you dead. And then you will be buried and friends and family will attend your funeral. Now the creepy stuff is what happened next. So one day, this voodoo witch will go to your grave, exhume your body, and administer a secret antidote. And what happened next is just the creepiest thing ever. Your body will regain life, but your consciousness and your personality will be completely gone. So your body will basically be a dumb slave. You will still eat, breathe, and work, and you will obey all the voodoo witch wishes until you grow old and your body starts to fail, which in each case not even black magic will be able to help. So basically the remaining of your life will be like a zombie working as a slave. And this is basically the reason why these zombies are created. You know, they are created to work in fields and wherever the voodoo witch want them to do, they will do it. Now let's talk about the most known case of this that I'm pretty sure a lot of you already heard about. If you don't, buckle up because this is so interesting. In 1962, Narcisse was about 40 years old when he checked himself into the hospital complaining of pain and difficulty breathing. 2 days later, he was pronounced dead and his official death certificate was on file. His body laid on the morgue for 24 hours until his family picked him up and did a proper funeral for him. And now this is where it gets crazy. 18 years later, Narcisse appeared in his hometown to talk to his sister. And what he said to his sister was the scariest thing ever. Like I can't even describe how horrified I was when I was researching for this video, because it is truly creepy. So basically he said to his sister that at the hospital he was conscious but unable to move or breathe the entire time, and in the funeral too. So basically he could hear the doctors around him, he could hear the doctors pronouncing him dead, but it could not say anything, it could not move, it was just there lying and it could not do anything. He also remembers being in the morgue and being buried. So it was basically being buried alive. Like, how insane is that? He said that when they closed his coffin, when they were putting the nails, one of the nail missed the wood and went straight next to his face, and he could feel the cut being made by the nail, and it just could not do anything. Then after 3 days underground, his coffin was opened, it was taken out, he was beaten and forced to take some kind of hallucinogenic drug. He was then dragged away to face 2 years of slave labor in a sugar plantation, and it was just one of many imprisoned zombies. He reported being like in a dream state with no willpower the whole time. But one day, out of nowhere, one of the other zombies was capable of killing their master, and when this happens, they kind of regain their willpower and they kind of start thinking for themselves again, making him able to escape this whole thing. Still, Narcisse wandered for 16 years before returning home because he was afraid of going back. He was somehow convinced that his brother was the one that had him killed. So upon his brother's death, he decided to go back to his hometown and talk to his sister. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys are asking, Magda, seriously, do you really believe this? Do you think that someone can come back from death? This story couldn't be real, right? Like, this is just a bunch of BS. And that was exactly what Wade Davis thought and asked himself. Davis was a Harvard-educated anthropologist who was very interested in the traditional beliefs of many tribes concerning psychoactive properties of certain plants and their effects. Davis made the journey to Haiti on request of Dr. Nathan S. Klein, who have heard of Narcisse's story and believed it to be the result of some unknown and powerful drug, perhaps derived from a local plant that could in fact induce a zombie-like state. So in 1982, Davis traveled there to start his investigation. So upon speaking to the locals, Davis had this idea that zombies were created by using black magic. There was no mention of any kind of drug or plant that was being used, and Davis kind of felt discouraged. However, after further investigation, Davis realized that the Voodoo Witches would routinely use secret powders made from a complex mixture in their rituals. Davis then became convinced that these powders, these mixtures, had some kind of pharmacological effects that were integral for the actual zombification of a victim. And Davis was convinced that he found the reason for what happened, which was something called poison tetrodotoxin. Again, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. I will leave it somewhere here, but these are just very complicated names and I'm sorry. So over the period that Davis stayed in Haiti, he was able to purchase samples of the zombie powder from different voodoo witches. And though their preparations differed from each other, he found three common ingredients: crushed human bones, various plants with stinging spines, and pufferfish. Pufferfish is very famous in Asia for being the source of the very expensive and risky sushi fugu, which, if not properly prepared, can administer a lethal dose of the neurotoxin tetrodotoxin, which it comes from a bacteria that grows within the pufferfish, newts, toads, and a number of other animals. And although they have built up some kind of resistance, for humans it can be deadly. Tetrodotoxin blocks a sodium channel in the nerve cells membranes, preventing the nerves from being able to fire any muscles. In sufficient doses, which for humans is a very tiny amount, it stops all muscles activity, including not only the voluntary muscles, but also the heart and the muscles that control the breathing. So basically, the victim is conscious, but there is no pulse or respiration. He then loses consciousness and dies within minutes. There is no antidote or treatment. However, the effect is temporary, and a few of fugu diners have recovered after their apparent death, having received just barely enough dosage to wear off before the brain was lethally damaged. When talking to a voodoo witch, Davis asked about Narcisse's report of being beaten and drugged when he was taken out of his coffin, and the voodoo witch said that the zombies are force-fed a paste made of sweet potatoes, cane syrup, and a plant called datura. Datura has long been used in many cultures as an hallucinogenic drug. It contains scopolamine, iocyanine, and atropamine. Again, sorry, it will be all in here. But as a recreational drug, it is quite dangerous, and it should be administered by someone with a lot of experience, such as a bucker or a voodoo witch. But in his book, Davis also explained that the tetrodotoxin was only the beginning of the zombification process, and it was only meant to make the victim appear dead, not actually to make the zombie. It was only later, after arising and being subjected to mind-altering drugs, that the victim could actually be considered a zombie. Now, we could go on and on and on and examine all the stories like the Narcisse one, because there are many stories about this. But the thing is that the rest of the stories actually lack documentation. So basically, when Narcisse said that he was dead, he actually had proof that he was dead. We had the hospital records in everything that happened to him there and how he died and all that stuff. So basically, his story had some kind of evidence which others are lacking. So others are basically just stories. There's no evidence to it. Now, voodoo practitioners or witches or whatever you want to call it are very real in Haiti. They drug themselves regularly, and they do perform zombie rituals in a regular basis, and that's why there is all these big zombie thing surrounding the IT history. So we have two theories, but we can't prove neither of them. So we have the first theory that tells us that it's black magic and that voodoo witches are actually able to bring back the dead. And then we have this other theory that I think it's a more plausible one, that tells us that it is actually the use of drugs and the use of a very, very powerful toxin that together makes our body a zombie-like body. So I will leave it up to you guys to decide which one do you believe, which one do you think is true. If you want to let me know in the comments below, I will be more than happy to read through your comments. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope that you find it interesting. If yes, please give me a thumbs up. That really helps my episodes get out there. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and join the family so you can get all my videos as soon as I upload them. And I will see you in my next episode. Bye!